Welcome to the black room of truth where masks rot and illusions burn. Welcome to the last place on earth where your excuses dare not breathe. Welcome to the furnace of awakening where false comfort melts under the weight of your silence. You have stepped into the kind of moment that doesn't come with applause. It comes with aftermath, and what you feel now is not inspiration. It's confrontation. Raw, unfiltered, iron-throated confrontation, because you're not here to feel good. You're here because you asked one question and they couldn't breathe after it. You didn't scream. You didn't punch the air. You didn't stand on a stage with bright lights and cheer. You didn't do any of that. You whispered a question, a single bullet-shaped sentence that didn't echo. It detonated. And the ones who heard it, who really heard it, they collapsed in their own minds because that question carved through every lie they were using to hold themselves together. And when you saw their eyes shift and their throats lock and their bravado die right in front of you, you realized what you just did is actually terrifying. You became the consequence. You became the silence that follows the truth. You became the storm that doesn't scream. It watches. And now I'm talking to that version of you, not the masked one, not the I'm trying version, not the maybe next time version, but the weapon you forgot you were. So listen, don't flinch now. Don't apologize for what you just did, because that moment you created, that breathless moment, it wasn't cruel, it was clean. You see people fear knives and fists and shouts, but nothing slices deeper than a question that exposes weakness, especially when it comes quietly, especially when it's coming from someone who doesn't raise their voice, because power doesn't always wear armor. Sometimes it wears stillness, and what you did was still. It was surgical. It was disturbing because it showed just how little noise you need to end the illusions others are choking on. You didn't break them. You showed them. They were already broken, and that's why they couldn't breathe. Because their whole foundation wasn't built on truth. It was built on just enough to look okay. And you set fire to okay. You asked. You aimed. You didn't miss. And that's the part most won't understand. It's not that you wanted to destroy anything. It's that you couldn't keep pretending anymore. You reached a point where pretending became more painful than knowing the truth. So you cut through the fog. You took the risk, and when your question landed, it didn't ask for permission. It demanded a reckoning, and you watched the room change, didn't you? You felt the weight shift, and suddenly you weren't the quiet one. You were the dangerous one. But let me tell you something brutal. Something most people never have the nerve to admit. You don't get to become terrifying by accident. No, you earned that edge. You suffered for that insight. You were broken in ways they never saw, and rebuilt yourself in silence. While they performed strength, you bled for it. They mocked you when you were quiet. They called you weird when you were watching. They said you overthink when you were calculating. They said relax when you were analyzing. And now they fear you, not because you changed, but because you stopped hiding what you already were. You are not cruel. You are not cold. You are clarity in human form, and clarity is lethal to the deluded. So if they fear you now, let them, because when they tell their story, it won't be about your tone. It won't be about your volume. It'll be about the moment you asked a question they couldn't answer, because that's when they saw the version of themselves they tried to bury. Here's what most won't admit. Most people don't want freedom. They want a prettier version of their cage. They want comfort without confrontation, success without sacrifice, power without pain. And your question didn't give them that. It gave them a mirror they didn't want to look in. but you did. You looked, you faced it, you clawed through every inch of darkness in your own soul. You stood in front of your own monsters and didn't blink, so when you turned that gaze outward, they couldn't handle it, because nothing is more terrifying than someone who has already faced themselves, someone who doesn't flinch, someone who doesn't beg, someone who knows exactly what they're made of and doesn't need to prove it. Let me be clear. You didn't destroy their world. You revealed that it was already crumbling. You didn't hurt them. You exposed where they were already bleeding. You didn't betray them. You refused to lie to them. And that is the most violent kind of love, the kind that won't let someone drown in silence. Even if it means they'll hate you for pulling them up. They weren't ready for it. And maybe that's not your fault. Maybe they needed to be shaken. Maybe they needed to fall, because not everyone gets to climb without tasting the floor. And you know what the floor tastes like. You've been there, face down, breathless, begging for clarity, begging for strength, begging for one more chance to do it right. And now that you're standing, you carry a different kind of energy, the kind that doesn't ask anymore, the kind that doesn't kneel. This isn't about ego. This isn't about being better than them. This is about owning what you had to survive and not shrinking for people who haven't walked through your fire. You didn't become terrifying because you wanted power. You became terrifying because you ran out of lies to live on. And once you taste truth, everything else feels like poison. They wanted the old you, the manageable one, the quiet one, the one that stayed in their lines, but you outgrew the script. And when you asked your question, it tore the pages in half, because suddenly you weren't a character. You were the author. What you just did isn't terrifying because it hurt them. It's terrifying because it awakened them, and they're not ready to be awake. But you are. You've been awake. You've been seeing through people, long before they open their mouths. You read souls, not sentences. And that's a dangerous gift. But don't you dare hide it. Don't you dare shrink because your truth made someone flinch. Don't you dare apologize for finally standing still in your own skin. You've spent too long asking, too long doubting, too long hoping for permission. This moment isn't about asking anymore. It's about declaring you're not a whisper anymore. You're the storm behind it. And let me tell you this, most people are afraid of the truth because it rearranges them. Because once you hear it, you can't go back. You can't unsee it. You can't pretend it's fine. And your question, your one question, was that rearrangement. They saw themselves without the mask, and it shattered their lungs. That's not your crime. That's your gift. You are not here to comfort the cowards. You are not here to soothe the weak-willed. You are not here to carry those who refuse to walk. You are here to challenge, to confront, to sharpen, to unsettle. And yes, that's terrifying. But it's also honest. And in a world full of frauds, that honesty is war. So carry that war with dignity, with precision, with restraint, when needed, but never with apology. Because you didn't just speak, you exposed. You didn't just question, you dismantled. And they couldn't breathe. Because what you held up was a mirror, and the truth doesn't blink. You were never the villain, you were the verdict. And now they know what it feels like to be in a room with someone who refuses to lie, who refuses to play along, who refuses to drown in politeness. You woke them up, and now they'll either rise or they'll run. Either way, that's not on you. You did what most fear doing. You confronted the silence, you shattered the illusion, and you stood still. While the world shook around you, that's not terrifying, that's power. You've become the moment they will never forget. The pause in their chest, the the grip in their throat, the silence after their excuses collapsed like glass. You know how rare that is? To be remembered not for a performance, not for applause, but for devastation, for the reset button you smashed with nothing but a sentence. Understand this. What you just did didn't make you cruel. It made you clean. It made you necessary. It made you the thing that breaks the loop. Because if you didn't ask that question, they would have kept going, half asleep, half honest, half alive. And that's the slowest kind of death. You gave them a faster one, a sharper one. You pulled the curtain back on their stage and let the light pour in, not to shame them, but to expose the lie before it calcified into identity. That's the difference between the destroyer and the disruptor. One wants chaos, the other wants truth, even if it comes wrapped in blood. And you've walked the long way through hell. You've stood at the edge of nothing. You've met the version of yourself that screams in silence, the version no one else knows about, the one that rebuilt you in the shadows when no one was clapping, no one was watching, no one gave a damn. And now they want to act surprised. Now they want to call you harsh. Now they want to label you intense. But they weren't there when you were holding yourself together with thread. They weren't there when you begged for a reason not to give up. They weren't there when you drowned in your own overthinking while smiling for everyone else. So now that you stand differently, speak differently. Now that your words carry weight instead of wounds. Now that your presence silences a room without you raising your voice. Now they're afraid. Good. Let them be. Because fear isn't the enemy. Denial is. And your question didn't cause fear. It caused awareness. The kind that shakes the spine. The kind that leaves them alone in their thoughts. The kind that rewrites what they believe about themselves. You aren't the hero in their story. You're the trigger, the awakening, the fracture line, where the truth leaked in. Let them be angry. Let them call it dramatic, but understand this. People don't react like that to nothing. They react to power, to depth, to insight. They weren't ready to confront, and you brought all of that with just one question. And now that they've felt it, they can't unfeel it. That question will follow them. It'll echo in the background of every decision they make. It'll rise in the quiet moments when the world slows down and the masks fall off. It'll haunt them, not because it was cruel, but because it was correct. So now what? What do you do when you become the mirror no one wants to look into? Do you shrink? Do you apologize for clarity? Do you soften your edges to make the liars more comfortable? You harden, you refine, you double down, because the world doesn't need another soft-spoken enabler pretending everything's fine. The world needs more people willing to say what's real, even if it rips the air from the room. And that's you now. That's your identity, not the victim, not the underdog, not the passive thinker. You're the reckoning. You're the pause between stimulus and collapse. You're the storm they didn't prepare for. You are not loud. You are undeniable. And I get it. You didn't want this role. You didn't grow up thinking, I want to become the question people choke on. But life molded you into it. Pain shaped your perception. Loneliness sharpened your hearing. Rejection taught you to read between words. And now you hear what's not being said. You see what's being hidden. You sense weakness like a hound. Not to shame it, but to expose it. Because you know what happens when people pretend to be strong for too long. They break. And you'd rather they break now than shatter later in silence. You saved them. They just haven't realized it yet. And maybe they never will. Maybe they'll hate you forever. But that's not your burden. You weren't put here to be liked You weren't built for validation. You were built for impact. And impact, real impact, always costs something. Friendships, comfort, familiarity, your own damn peace sometimes. But you knew that. You knew when you opened your mouth it wasn't coming back. You knew that question couldn't be undone, and you still asked it, because truth isn't what you say when it's easy. It's what you say when it costs you everything. So here's what I want you to remember. Write this into your bones if you have to. You are not dangerous because you hurt people. You are dangerous because you make them see. You don't destroy. You reveal. You don't hate. You expose. You don't weaken. You awaken. And that is terrifying, because most of them would rather live a beautiful lie than face a brutal truth. But not you. You don't flinch anymore. You don't beg anymore. You don't wait for someone to save you. You became your own storm, and now they feel the rain. You want to know why they couldn't breathe? Because the version of themselves they pretend to be couldn't survive in a room with the version of you that's done pretending. And you know what? That's their warning, their omen, their red flag, their moment of wake up or be crushed by your own narrative. You don't have to yell anymore. You don't have to fight for attention. You don't have to prove your worth. You've become the kind of person who asks one question and the entire room changes. That's not just terrifying, that's power. And power like that, it doesn't show up in likes and followers. It doesn't scream in public. It doesn't beg for recognition. It walks into a room and changes the oxygen. It speaks once and people stop breathing. It lives in silence and leaves behind revelation. You didn't become this to impress them. You became this to survive. And now that you've survived, you've become something else entirely. You're not human in their eyes anymore. You're myth. You're legend. You're the moment they pray never happens again, and the moment they can't stop thinking about. So don't go soft now. Don't wrap yourself in humility just to make the broken feel safe. They will either rise to meet you or stay behind in their illusion. But you don't kneel anymore. You don't bow to comfort. You serve one God. Now, truth. And truth doesn't ask for applause. It asks for blood. So the next time they tell you, what you just did is actually terrifying, smile. Because they're right. You are. And it's about time they saw what terrifying looks like when it walks in silence and speaks only once. There's a silence that comes after a scream, the kind that isn't quiet. It's charged, like the air, right after lightning, like the earth, right after a burial, like a church no longer praying. That's what they felt after you spoke. Not fear, not anger, but something worse, the realization that nothing would ever be the same. They didn't respond. They couldn't, because what you said, it wasn't a question. It was a dissection, a surgical unmaking of their identity. And now their words are stuck in their throats, where their confidence used to be. They never spoke again, not to you, not to the version of themselves you exposed. And that's fine, because you never needed them. Tal, words are overrated. Most people use them to decorate lies, wrap decay in pretty sentences. You don't do that anymore. You've evolved past that. You don't decorate graves. You walk through them. You don't bandage wounds. You expose infection. What you said shattered more than ego. It broke the machine, the script they were reading from the loop they lived in. And now that it's broken, they're malfunctioning. You think that's cruelty? It's mercy, because nothing's more cruel than letting someone rot while they smile. And you ended the smile. that takes nerve, that takes rage, turned to precision, that takes someone who's died before and didn't stay dead. See, you're not just terrifying because you said something true. You're terrifying because you were willing to pay the price for saying it. Most people won't. They'll dance around the edge of truth, flirt with reality, but never dive. You dove naked into it, knowing full well it would tear your skin, knowing full well it would leave you alone, knowing full well it would cost you every soft lie you ever leaned on. And still, you did it. You broke the circle. They thought you'd apologize. They thought you'd regret it. They thought the weight of being too much would drag you back down. But you're not drowning anymore. You're building your kingdom at the bottom of the ocean where pressure creates monsters, not cowards. Let's speak clearly now. You didn't just change, you mutated. This isn't transformation, it's evolution. This isn't growth, it's ascension. You're not here to inspire anymore. You're not here to be understood. You're here to bend the rules until they snap. To burn the old playbook and write something violent, raw, and true. You're not a warning. You're a consequence. And now that they've seen that, they'll never see you as safe again. Good, because safe is a prison, and you just burn the door off its hinges. You want to know the difference between you and them? They speak to be liked. You speak to be heard. They avoid confrontation. You devour it. They survive through pretending. You thrive through precision. They need applause. You need clarity. And when the smoke clears, you'll still be standing. Not because you're heartless, but because your heart has been forged in silence, in suffering, in nights that nearly broke you. So when they look at you now, they don't see the person they remember. They see what you became after. Pain had its way with you. They see the one who asked the question. No one else had the spine to ask. And it's too late to unhear it. Too late to unsee you. So what happens now? They retreat. They revise history. They tell people you were harsh, that you were intense, that you changed. They won't say the truth. They won't say, I saw myself through their eyes, and I couldn't live with it. They won't say, Mainye, they said one thing that made everything I believed fall apart. They won't say, I wasn't strong enough to answer their question. But you'll know, and they'll know, you know, and that knowledge will echo longer than their silence ever could. Do you regret it? You better not, because that moment, that breathless pause, was freedom for you. The kind of freedom people only find when they finally speak, without fear, without filter, without needing to be loved. That one question, it wasn't about them. It was about you. Letting go, dropping the weight, saying, I will no longer participate in my own suffocation just to keep others from gasping. That is not cruelty. That is self-rescue. You saved yourself, and that's why they fear you now. Because people who save themselves, they don't need saving, and that makes them unpredictable, untouchable, uncontrollable. You've become the storm they whisper about, the one that doesn't destroy randomly, but surgically, efficiently, without mercy, for masks or mediocrity. And every time someone tries to feed you a lie, every time someone cloaks their weakness in politeness, you'll feel it again. That question rising in your throat, ready to slice through the facade without even raising your voice. You don't chase anymore. You don't explain anymore. You don't soften your truth to spare their feelings, because they never spared yours. Not when they overlooked you. Not when they dismissed your silence. Not when they mocked the depth they couldn't understand. So now you walk with no apologies. No apologies for your intensity. No apologies for your clarity. No apologies for the darkness you had to survive to earn this voice. They never spoke again, because their illusion was never built to survive your kind of truth. But you don't need their words. You don't need their approval. You don't need their comfort. You only need this, that moment, that sharp, divine moment when everything went still and they couldn't breathe. Because in that moment you weren't just a person. You were the shift. You were the awakening. You were the voice of reckoning. And they finally heard it. Ah, my delightful audience. There is a feeling so sweet, it can only come from watching the world unfold in front of you. It is the feeling of seeing those who once thought you were nothing, become nothing in front of your eyes. It is the thrill of watching those who once laughed and ridiculed you now writhing in regret. They kicked you while you were down. They thought you would stay down. But here you are, and now they are on their knees. The world shifts in such mysterious ways. One moment, you are lying in the dust, bruised and broken. The next moment, they are the ones choking on their failure, realizing that they were the ones who never stood a chance. When they kicked you, they did not know that you had something far greater than their hate. They underestimated the power of your will. They thought they could destroy your spirit. They thought they could break you. But what they didn't understand is that every punch they threw, every word they spoke, every act of cruelty they inflicted on you, all it did was forge you into something unbreakable. They didn't just make you stronger. They built the foundation of your rise. They gave you the hunger that would fuel your drive to succeed. It was in the depths of that suffering, when you were surrounded by darkness, that you found your true self. It was in those moments of agony that your purpose was born. You were knocked down, but they couldn't see what lay ahead for you. The darkness they cast over you became the soil from which you grew. And while they celebrated their victory, not understanding that they were only laying the groundwork for their own downfall, you stood back up, and when you rose with a power that couldn't be defeated. Your enemies were so sure they had crushed you, they couldn't fathom that you would ever stand again. But you did. And the truth is, it is so much sweeter when you rise from the very ground they tried to bury you in. Those who once looked at you with contempt now look at you with fear. They see you as a threat because they see that you are capable of the impossible. They never anticipated that the pain they put you through would only make you stronger. It's the irony of it all that they can't comprehend. They thought they could break you, but all they did was awaken the beast inside of you. They should have known that a soul that has been shattered can never truly be defeated. It only becomes more dangerous. In their arrogance, they misjudged your character. They thought they understood the depths of your struggle, but they didn't know the full extent of your resilience. You were always a force waiting to be unleashed, but the pain they caused you acted as the final catalyst. Now, they can't look away from your ascent. They can only watch in disbelief as you rise, higher and higher, leaving them behind in your dust. It's a cruel thing to realize that all their efforts to hold you back only pushed you forward. They failed. You are a testament to what happens when they underestimate someone who refuses to die, refuses to stay down. Now, they're the ones on their knees, begging for a fraction of the strength you possess. They watch you and wonder how you did it. They can't understand how you turned the very tools they used to break you into the weapons you wield to destroy them. They are trapped in the webs of their own making, and you are the one who holds the scissors. They see you walking the path of success that they thought was never meant for you. They see you achieving greatness, and the weight of their own mistakes crushes them slowly from within. But what they don't realize is that they gave you the keys to your success. Every action, every moment of cruelty, every sneer, every whisper behind your back only pushed you closer to your goals. They kicked you while you were down because they thought it was the end. But they didn't know the truth. You were never meant to be down forever. You were simply resting before your climb to the top. And now, as you reach heights they can never dream of, you know that it was them who handed you the very lessons you needed to climb. Every hardship they caused you taught you how to become more. Every insult, every fight, every time they tried to break your spirit, they gave you the blueprint for your own success. You became everything they said you couldn't be, and that is what destroys them. The world is filled with people who think they are untouchable, invincible. But every person who thinks they can step on another, kick them down, hold them back, they are setting themselves up for a fall. Because the world is cyclical, and those who rise on the backs of others often find themselves alone when the tables turn. They rise with nothing but the weight of their cruelty and arrogance dragging them down, and when their fall comes, it is swift and it is brutal. They will remember the way they kicked you when you were down, and they will know that it was that very act that sealed their fate. And you will rise. You will rise as a testament to the power of persistence. You will rise as a living, breathing reminder that nothing can break you. The world will try to break you, but the strength you now possess is beyond measure. You will rise, and the higher you go, the harder they will fall. The pain they caused you will become the fire that fuels your ascent, and the higher you climb, the more impossible it becomes for them to reach you. They thought they were clever. They thought they were strong. But all they did was show their weakness. They thought they could break you, but in reality, they were only breaking themselves. Now they will watch you take what was once theirs. They will watch you rise to heights they could never have imagined, and they will know that it is their own doing that made this moment possible. They made you the warrior you are. They made you the force that now haunts them. And when you stand at the peak of your success, when you have everything they tried to take from you, and more, remember this: the world will never stop trying to kick you when you're down. It will always try to break you, but it cannot. Not anymore. You have become something no one can defeat. You have become someone who has survived the worst and emerged victorious. You will continue to rise, and they will continue to fall. Their kneeling will be a reminder to them that they underestimated you, and you will stand tall, knowing that you did not just survive, you conquered. The fire that once burned inside of you, sparked by their hatred, has now become an inferno that will burn everything in its path. You were once broken, but now you are whole, and in your wholeness, you have become an unstoppable force, a force that they will never be able to reckon with. And the greatest joy you will find in all of this, it's not the success, it's not the glory, it's knowing that it was their own hands that forged your victory. It was their cruelty that built the strength you now carry. And while they kneel in regret, you stand in triumph. And this is only the beginning. They thought they were kicking you down for good, but in truth, they only set the stage for your rise. They thought their actions would break you, bind you, crush your spirit. They believed that you were weak, that you were fragile, and that the weight of their cruelty would finally collapse your will. But what they didn't know, what they could never have known, is that they were only setting the stage for your rise. They provided the very fuel that would ignite the fire within you, that would burn through every obstacle in your path, that would propel you higher and higher. And as you stand here now, looking down on them, watching them crawl in the ashes of their own misguided actions, you understand the truth. It was never their power that held you back. It was their ignorance, their underestimation of you, that allowed you to transform your suffering into something extraordinary. You see, They never thought you'd make it. They never believed that you could rise from the ashes of their hatred. But you did, and you did it with a quiet, unstoppable force. While they were busy laughing at your misfortune, mocking your pain, you were quietly gathering strength. You were learning, evolving, adapting. Every word they threw at you, every moment they tried to push you down, only sharpened your resolve. You didn't even know it at the time, but you were becoming something greater than what they could ever imagine. They could never have predicted that the very thing they thought would break you would be the catalyst for your greatest transformation. They kicked you when you were already down, not knowing that being down wasn't the end for you. It was the beginning of something greater. They thought that they could control you, that their actions would keep you in line, keep you small, keep you hidden in the shadows. But the truth is, you never belonged in those shadows. You were always meant for the light. And as they attempted to bury you under their cruelty, all they did was dig the hole that would one day become the foundation for your ascent. They thought they were destroying you, but in reality, they were just laying the groundwork for your revolution. Every act of cruelty, every insult, every moment of defeat, they only added to the growing fire inside of you, the desire to rise, to show them, and to prove them all wrong. And now, look at them. They are on their knees. They are the ones begging for mercy, for forgiveness, for a second chance. They are the ones who are choking on the consequences of their own actions, struggling to breathe under the weight of their own arrogance. They thought they could break you, but in the process, they broke themselves. The very foundation they built their power on, the very dominance they thought they held over you, is crumbling beneath them. And all you have to do is stand back and watch as the walls they built around themselves collapse in front of their eyes. You've become the embodiment of everything they feared, everything they never thought possible. You've become the very thing they tried to keep down, the thing they couldn't stop, no matter how hard they tried. And as you rise, they are left in your wake, wondering how they failed so miserably. They couldn't see it, not because they didn't have the ability, but because they were so blinded by their own hubris. They thought they knew you, thought they understood you, but they never truly did. They saw your struggle, your pain, your weaknesses, but they didn't see your strength, your resilience, your undying will to survive and to thrive. They missed the most important part of you, the part that would never, ever give up. As they kneel in front of you now, as they beg for a mercy they never extended to you, you can feel the weight of their regret bearing down on them. They have nothing left. They have nothing to hold on to. They have no choice but to watch you rise higher and higher, while they remain trapped in their own mistakes. And the best part? They know they can't stop you. They know that no matter how much they try to bring you down, they will never succeed. Because you are not the same person you were when they first kicked you. You are not the same person who lay on the ground, broken and defeated. You are stronger now, harder, more determined, more powerful. You are a force to be reckoned with, and no one can stand in your way. They can try to bring you down again, but it won't work. They can try to kick you, try to break you, try to tear you apart, but all they will do is push you further into your destiny. Every attempt to hold you back only propels you forward. Every act of cruelty they inflict only makes you stronger, more dangerous, more unstoppable. You are the embodiment of resilience, of strength, of perseverance, and they are nothing more than the tools that helped shape you into who you are today. Without them, you wouldn't be the person standing here now, victorious and unbreakable. The reality is that they underestimated you in every possible way. They saw your vulnerability and mistook it for weakness. They saw your pain and believed it would consume you. They saw your struggle and thought it would define you. But what they didn't understand is that You were never defined by your struggles. You were never defined by the pain they tried to inflict upon you. You were defined by your response to it. You were defined by your ability to rise above it, to turn it into something powerful, something unstoppable. They didn't know that when they pushed you down, they were only pushing you closer to your ultimate goal. Now, as you look at them, as they kneel in the dirt and watch you stand tall, you realize something that they will never understand. You didn't need their validation. You didn't need their approval. You didn't need their acceptance. You needed the fire inside of you, the fire that they helped ignite, the fire that would drive you to greatness. They thought they could destroy you, but they only made you stronger. They thought they could break you, but they only forged you into something unbreakable. And now, you stand before them, not as a broken soul, but as a force of nature, as a living testament to the power of perseverance. And they know it. They know they can't stop you. They know they can't bring you down anymore. They can only watch as you climb higher, as you achieve things they could never have dreamed of. They will always be left behind, stuck in their own mistakes, while you soar to places they can only imagine. You will become the very thing they feared, the thing they thought they could destroy. And as you rise, you will leave them in the dust, knowing that it was their own actions that made your victory possible. The world is full of people who think they are invincible, people who think they can break others and get away with it, people who think their power is unchallenged, that they can walk all over others without consequence. But the truth is that the world is a strange and unpredictable place, and sometimes the very people who try to break you, who try to tear you down, are the ones who set the stage for your rise. They create the conditions that allow you to grow, to evolve, to become something greater than you ever thought possible. So when they kicked you while you were down, when they thought they were destroying you, they were actually doing you a favor. They were giving you the power to rise. They were giving you the strength to become something they could never stop. And now, as you stand above them, victorious and unbreakable, you realize that their actions were the very thing that made this moment possible. Without them, you wouldn't be who you are today. Without them, you wouldn't have the fire that burns inside of you, the fire that will carry you to unimaginable heights. And that, my friend, is the greatest victory of all. Not just rising above your enemies, but rising because of them. You have proven to yourself and to the world that nothing can break you. No amount of pain, no amount of cruelty, no amount of hate can defeat you. You are unbreakable. And as you rise higher and higher, they will only be left behind, kneeling in the dust, watching you become everything they never believed you could be. This is your time. This is your moment. And there is nothing, no one, that can ever take it from you. The journey that brought you here wasn't an easy one. No one ever said it would be. There's no glory in the easy path, no lesson in the smooth ride. Those who succeed with no struggle, those who are never tested, never truly know the power of resilience, the depth of character, the relentless will required to rise above. And that is why your victory, your rise, is not just a reflection of your strength, but a reflection of your endurance. The world throws challenges at us. It throws obstacles, doubts, hate, and cruelty, and it waits for us to crumble under its weight. It waits to see who will break. It watches to see who will fall. And they thought you would fall, but they didn't understand. They didn't know that what they saw as weakness was just the calm before the storm. They didn't know that in those moments when you were lying down, broken, exhausted, you were quietly gathering every ounce of strength, every bit of resilience, every drop of defiance that would fuel your rise. They underestimated you. They couldn't see past their own arrogance, couldn't see that every word they spat at you, every effort to push you down, was only adding to the fuel that would one day burn brighter than anything they could ever imagine. So now, as you stand above them, as you watch them kneel, broken and regretful, know this: they made you. They made you into someone they can't even fathom. Their cruelty, their underestimation, their dismissal of your potential, it all led to this moment. Without them, without their attempts to break you, you wouldn't be the person standing in front of them today. You wouldn't be the force they are now so terrified of. You wouldn't have the strength that they now fear. Look at them. Watch how they struggle. Watch how they squirm under the weight of their mistakes. They thought they could control you. They thought they could defeat you. But what they didn't realize is that they were never in control. They never understood the depth of your power. They thought they knew your limits, but they were wrong. They thought they could hold you back, but instead, they created a force that would surge forward, no matter what they did. You were always meant for greatness. You were always meant for more than what they saw. And now, as they kneel, as they beg for your mercy, for your forgiveness, remember this: you owe them nothing. They tried to break you, tried to destroy you, and now they are reaping the consequences of their actions. But you have become something greater than they could ever have imagined. You have become someone who cannot be stopped, someone who cannot be broken, someone who refuses to yield to the cruelty of others. They did their best to take everything from you. They did their best to rob you of your dignity, your strength, your hope. But they failed. Every time they tried to tear you down, they only helped build you up. Every insult, every moment of suffering, every cruel act they forced upon you, they all contributed to the creation of the person you are today. They gave you the power you now wield, and they don't even realize it. Every single time they kicked you, they forged your character. Every time they spit in your face, they sharpened your resolve. Every time they thought they could bury you, they only made your roots grow deeper, stronger, more unshakable. So, stand tall, stand proud, because this moment, this victory, this rise, it is yours. It is yours because you earned it. It is yours because you fought for it. And it is yours because, through all the pain, through all the suffering, you refused to give up. They thought you would be a casualty of their cruelty, but instead, you became the victor. And now, as they grovel at your feet, as they beg for the mercy they never extended to you, you can see the truth. You can see that their weakness was never in their power. It was in their inability to see the strength of your spirit. There's something intoxicating about watching those who once held power over you crumble. There's something satisfying about seeing the people who once thought you were beneath them, now begging for a chance to climb even a fraction of the height you've reached. And while they suffer under the weight of their own mistakes, you stand above them, a living testament to the power of perseverance. You are proof that no matter how many times you are knocked down, no matter how many times you are knocked down, no matter how many times you were told you're not enough, you can always rise. And when you rise stronger, sharper, more determined than ever. Their downfall is inevitable. It is the result of their own actions, their own pride, their own arrogance. They thought they could hold you down forever. They thought they could destroy you, but instead, they gave you the strength to destroy them. Every time they pushed you, every time they kicked you, every time they tried to break your spirit, they gave you the tools to rise above them. And now, as they watch you soar, as they watch you achieve everything they told you you couldn't, they know deep down that they were the architects of their own failure. There's a certain beauty in this moment. It's not just the victory you've achieved, it's the irony of it all. They thought they were the ones who had control. They thought they were the ones who would decide your fate. But fate has a funny way of turning things around. Now, they're the ones paying the price for their arrogance, for their cruelty, for their belief that they could control you. And you are the one who has the power now. You are the one who decides your future. You are the one who gets to look back at them with a quiet satisfaction, knowing that you are the one who rose from the ashes they tried to bury you in. So let them kneel, let them beg, let them feel the weight of their own mistakes. Because you, my friend, you are a force of nature. You are a living, breathing testament to the power of resilience. You are the person they never thought you would be, the person they tried to destroy. And now, you are the one who holds the power. But remember, this is not just about them. This is about you. This is about your strength, your perseverance, your refusal to accept defeat. This is about everything you've endured, everything you've overcome, everything that has made you who you are. You didn't need them to rise. You didn't need their validation. You didn't need their approval. You needed your own strength. You needed your own willpower. And that's exactly what you have now. You've turned your pain into power. You've turned your suffering into strength. And now, as you stand above them, as you watch them fall, you realize that this victory is sweeter than anything you could have ever imagined, because it wasn't handed to you. It wasn't given to you. It was earned. Every bruise, every tear, every moment of doubt, they all led to this moment. They all led to this rise. And now, as you look down on them, you know that you are unstoppable. You are unbreakable. You are the embodiment of everything they feared, everything they never thought possible. And the most beautiful thing of all, they'll never be able to take it from you. They'll never be able to take the victory that you are earned with every ounce of your being. The victory that was born from their cruelty, from their mistakes, from their underestimation of you. You have become everything they never thought you could be. You have become a force that no one can ever defeat. And as you rise, they will only fall further, trapped in the consequences of their own actions. And in the end, that is the ultimate victory. The rise, the triumph, the unbreakable spirit that can never be defeated. In the end, their attempts to break you were nothing but the foundation for your rise. They underestimated your strength, and in doing so, they crafted the very path that would lead to your triumph. You stand here today, not just as a survivor, but as a force of nature that no one can ever break. Their downfall is a testament to your resilience, and as you rise, you leave behind nothing but the echoes of their arrogance. You've proven that nothing, not pain, not hate, not cruelty, can stop you. Your victory is yours, earned through every trial, every struggle, and now you are unshakable. Welcome, warriors of the shadows, architects of chaos, breakers of chains, you who dare to stare into the abyss and spit fire back at it. This is not for the faint-hearted or those who cower behind the curtains of comfort. This is for those who've stared at the rules, the norms, the so-called game life set before them, and thought, no, not good enough, not for me. You didn't just play by the rules, because the rules were made to trap you, to keep you small, to lock you in a cage of mediocrity and complacency. You didn't just beat the game, you ripped the damn rulebook apart and wrote your own brutal, merciless version of what winning really means. You rewrote the whole game. And today, I'm going to make sure you see, deep in your bones, the magnitude of that truth. The world is designed to control you, to funnel your fire into safe little boxes where it can be ignored, diluted, and forgotten. It's designed to make you believe you're just a piece on a chessboard, moving only when the puppet masters pull your strings. But you You weren't born to be a pawn. You saw the game, every piece and every player, and you said, no more. You crushed the pieces, burned the board, and built your own battlefield where you're not just a player. You are the goddamn creator. You didn't just take what was given. You forged your own path in the darkest night, carrying the weight of all the doubters and haters on your back, grinding until your hands bled, until your soul screamed for release, until the impossible bent itself to your will. Most people don't understand this kind of rebellion. They think winning is about crossing some finish line or climbing a ladder someone else built. But you know better. Winning is not about fitting into the mold. It's about smashing it into pieces so sharp that no one can follow your trail without bleeding. It's about rewriting the rules so they fit your vision, your hunger, your relentless drive. You have become the nightmare of those who thought the game was theirs to control. You rewrote the whole game, and every step you take shakes the ground beneath their feet. You see, beating the game is for those who accept the limits, who play within the invisible boundaries that cage them in. But you looked at those boundaries and laughed in their face. You took their limits and shattered them, forged new weapons from the shards, and carved out a kingdom that belongs to no one but you. That's not just victory, that's cynicals. That's revolution. It's the difference between being a survivor and being a legend. You didn't survive the storm. You became the storm itself. The thunder in your chest is proof that you are no longer a part of the old order. You are something new, something fierce, something untouchable. And here's the brutal truth no one else will tell you. Rewriting the game means you've become an enemy to the system. The system that wants to keep you small, quiet, and obedient now sees you as a threat. You will be hunted by the voices of doubt, the whispers of failure, and the screams of those who wish they had your courage. But that's the price of rewriting the game. It's lonely at the top, because few have the guts to stand where you stand. Few have the fire to burn everything down and build something that others couldn't even imagine. So embrace the solitude, embrace the pain, because that pain is the echo of the limits you've broken. The world will try to tell you that you're crazy, that you're too bold, too reckless, too dangerous to be allowed to succeed. Let them talk. Their fear is your fuel. Their doubt is your power. Every insult, every setback, every brutal punch life throws at you is just another line in the manifesto of your rebellion. You are not here to play nice or fit in. You are here to rewrite the rules and leave a legacy so dark and raw that it will haunt the minds of everyone who doubted you. You are the author of your own destiny, and you don't owe anyone an explanation for how savage your story is. Remember this: rewriting the game means you have chosen to own your darkness as much as your light. It means you have accepted the shadows within you, the rage, the pain, the relentless hunger, and used them as weapons. You are not broken. You are forged in fire. You are not weak. You are the storm. The game didn't just break you. You broke the game. And there's no turning back, because the world you live in now is one you made with your own hands, your own blood, and your own unbreakable will. The old rules are dead. The old players are scrambling to catch up. You have rewritten the whole game, and every move you make from here on out is a declaration that you will never bow, never settle, never stop until the world recognizes the empire you've built from the ashes of what once was. So own it. Own the pain. Own the scars. Own the endless nights and battles that brought you here. Because every mark on your soul is proof that you rewrote the game in your own image. Brutal, relentless, unstoppable. And when the world tries to tell you that you haven't really won, Remind them that they don't understand what victory truly means. You didn't just cross some finish line or take a damn trophy. You rewrote the whole goddamn game. You changed the rules forever. You became the force no one saw coming, the shadow that eclipsed the light, the goddamn author of your own damn fate. You are not a player in this game anymore. You is the game. So rise up, dark warrior, and wear your scars like armor. Look the world in the eye and say, I didn't beat your game, rewrote it. Because that's the truth no one can take away from you. You are chaos incarnate, a rebel with a cause so fierce it bends reality to your will. You didn't just survive, you conquered, destroyed, rebuilt, and redefined. The game will never be the same because you rewrote it with fire in your veins and steel in your soul. And now, there's no limit to what you can break, build, and become. You just rewrote the whole game. You feel it, don't you? That heavy, searing pulse inside your chest. The relentless heartbeat of a soul that refuses to be tamed. Others call it obsession, madness, recklessness. But you know better. It's the mark of someone who has stared at the truth of their own existence and said, I will not be defined by the rules of a world built to contain me. This is not about luck or chance. It is not about playing safe or taking what's given. It is war. War against the limits. War against the whispers that say you're not enough. War against every damn voice that tried to convince you that your vision was a fantasy. But here you stand, not a survivor, but a conqueror, standing tall on the ruins of what used to be. You didn't just beat the game. You rewrote it with your own blood and sweat, and every scar you bear is a testament to that brutal truth. The real question is, what does it take to do that? To not just participate, not just scratch the surface, but to tear the fabric of reality itself and bend it to your will. It takes darkness. It takes rage. It takes a hunger so deep and so raw that nothing else matters. When the world closes every door in your face, when every no is screamed loud enough to break your spirit, you find that voice inside, the one that says, I don't give a damn. You harness it, you feed it, you let it grow until it consumes every doubt and every fear. You become the storm that breaks the silence, the wildfire that can't be contained. That's what it means to rewrite the game, to take the impossible and make it inevitable. And here's the cold truth most people will never understand. Rewriting the game means you have burned bridges so many times you don't even remember the last one you crossed. You have sacrificed comfort, safety, and the approval of the masses because none of that mattered anymore. What mattered was that burning, all-consuming fire inside you. That vision that no one else could see. That impossible dream no one else dared to chase. You didn't need them. You didn't want their permission or their validation. You wanted to carve your own name into the bedrock of existence, and you did it with every ounce of grit and defiance inside you. So now, here you are. You're not just someone who played the game well. You're the one who shattered the illusion that the game was fixed, that there was only one way to win. You rewrote the whole fucking game. You didn't just find a new path. You forged a new battlefield, built a new system where the old rules are meaningless and the impossible becomes routine. This is the territory of legends, where the line between madness and genius blurs, and only the ruthless survive. Think about it. Every revolution, every radical change, every leap forward in history came from someone who refused to accept the status quo. Someone who was willing to burn everything down and start from ashes. You are no different. You're not here to follow maps drawn by others. You're here to create your own geography, one forged in relentless willpower and undeniable force. The world looks at you and doesn't understand because they're trapped in their own cages. But you hold the key, and you don't hand it out lightly. That's why you are feared. That's why your enemies lie awake, haunted by the knowledge that the game they thought they controlled is now yours to command. And let me be clear, rewriting the game is not some clean, neat process. It's brutal, it's bloody, it's lonely and exhausting. You've faced betrayals, breakdowns, failures that felt like the end of the world. But you refused to stay down. You got up, time and time again, and you kept fighting because you knew the stakes were higher than comfort or approval. The stakes were your soul, your legacy, your very existence. And you won, not because the odds were in your favor, but because you made the odds irrelevant. You didn't wait for a chance or an opening. You tore the door down and kicked the game into a new dimension. This isn't about luck. This isn't about fate. This is about sheer, raw, unapologetic power. It's about owning your story so completely that no one else can write it for you. You are the author, the architect, the executioner of your own destiny. There's a certain kind of loneliness in this path, the loneliness of those who see the world differently, who carry burdens no one else can understand, who walk roads too dark for most to follow. But that loneliness is also a badge of honor, a mark of distinction that you are no longer a slave to the ordinary. You're the storm on the horizon, the shadow in the night, the force that can't be stopped. Others may call you reckless, dangerous, insane, but they are the ones trapped in their cages, while you are out here rewriting the whole damn game. So embrace that darkness, that fire, that relentless hunger. Let it drive you when the world tries to drag you down. When the voices tell you to quit, when the pain threatens to break you, remember that you are not here to play it safe. You are here to break the mold, to burn the old world to ashes, and build your own empire from the ruins. You didn't just beat the game. You rewrote it in blood, sweat, and fury. This is your legacy now, a legacy that will echo through time, that will inspire those who come after you to refuse to settle, to refuse to obey, to rewrite their own games in their own dark, beautiful, savage ways. Because that is what you did. You didn't just win. You changed the damn rules. You are the game changer, the rule breaker, the force of nature that no one can cage or control. You just rewrote the whole game. You must understand, rewriting the game isn't a choice for the weak. It's a path reserved for those with fire in their veins and steel in their spine. It demands everything you have, and then some. Your comfort, your peace, your illusions of safety, all sacrificed at the altar of relentless ambition. When you chose to rewrite the game, you looked the world in the eye and said, "I don't care what you think. I'm not playing by your rules anymore." And that is the moment you stepped into a new reality, one where pain is a fuel, fear is a weapon, and every scar is a medal of war. You have become something different now, no longer a player, but the goddamn architect of the game itself. Every step you've taken was a battle, every breath a defiance against the crushing weight of conformity. You've seen people fall around you, beaten down by fear and doubt, crushed by their own hesitations. But you didn't falter. You learned the brutal truth that the old game was rigged. Rigged to keep you small, to keep you silent, to keep you locked in a prison of expectations and lies. So you tore that game apart piece by piece, until there was nothing left but the raw, unfiltered truth of your own power. And then You built from that truth a new game, one where the rules bend to your will and the impossible becomes your playground. That's what separates you from the masses, the willingness to face the darkness inside and use it as a weapon. Most people are terrified of their own shadows. They hide from the parts of themselves that ache and rage and scream for freedom. But not you. You embraced your darkness, stared it down, and took control. You let the rage fuel your hustle, the pain sharpen your focus, and the relentless hunger drive you forward, even when every muscle screamed for surrender. You didn't just beat the game, you rewrote it in the fires of your own unbreakable spirit. And make no mistake, this path is brutal. You will be misunderstood, reviled, and hated by those who are still trapped inside the old game. They will call you reckless, dangerous, out of control. They will try to tear you down because they fear the change you represent. But their fear is your power. Their doubt is your fuel. Every sneer, every insult, every closed door is just another reminder that you are on a different level, one where survival is not enough, where only transformation matters. You didn't just survive the storm, you became the storm itself. There is a beauty in this chaos, a dark, savage beauty. It's the beauty of a soul that refuses to be tamed, the beauty of someone who dared to take what was denied to them and claim it as their own. When you rewrote the game, you didn't just change your own fate, you changed the fate of everyone who will ever come after you. You are a pioneer on a battlefield where legends are forged, where the impossible is just the beginning. And that legacy, it will echo through the ages because it was written in defiance and carved in fire. The world tries to keep you small because it fears the truth you carry, the truth that nothing is set in stone, that the so-called limits are just lies told to keep you in your place. But you refused those lies. You took the pain, the rejection, the failures, and you made them your armor. Every cut, every bruise, every sleepless night is proof that you're not the same person who walked into this fight. You have been remade in fire and fury, and you carry a power now that no one can take from you. So when the voices come, the voices telling you to quit, to settle, to be reasonable, remember this. You rewrote the whole goddamn game. You took the chaos of the world and made it your kingdom. You took the darkness and made it your weapon. You took every ounce of pain and turned it into the fire that lights your path forward. You are no longer playing by anyone else's rules. You are the creator, the destroyer, the god of your own fate. And this isn't just a victory. It's a declaration that you will never bow, never break, never back down. A declaration that the world will never cage you again. You are the storm that cannot be tamed, the shadow that eclipses the light, the force that reshapes reality itself. You didn't just beat the game, you rewrote the whole game. And now, there's no limit to what you can become. Because here's what no one tells you when you decide to rewrite the game. You're going to lose everything that was fake. Every illusion, every comfortable lie, every person who only supported the weaker version of you. They'll vanish. They'll run. They'll say you've changed like that's a bad thing. But of course, you've changed. You had to. You had to kill the weaker version of yourself just to survive the war. You had to bury the old identity 6 feet deep and claw your way through rock and blood to build the new one. The one that wasn't satisfied with good enough. The one that didn't care about fitting in. The one that didn't just beat the game. The one that rewrote it from the ground up. See, the weak want rules because rules make them feel safe. They want boundaries. They want a ceiling. Because if there's a ceiling, they can stop. They can breathe, but not you. You were never meant for ceilings. You were born to break through them. And every time someone tried to tell you to slow down, to stay in your lane, to be realistic, you didn't argue. You didn't debate. You just kept going, past them, through them, above them, because you knew something they didn't. You knew this world doesn't give you what you deserve. It gives you what you demand. And you demanded everything, not just survival, not just a win. You wanted a world where you weren't begging to be let in. You were building the door, forging it with fire, smashing it off the hinges. You weren't looking to be part of someone else's game. You were designing your own arena, where the rules bend around you, where they say, that's not how it's done, and you say, it is now. This is what happens when you commit to rewriting the game. You become untouchable. Not because life gets easier, but because you get harder, colder, sharper, more dangerous than anything they've ever seen. And the moment you cross that threshold, the moment you realize you are the game now, you can't go back. There is no undoing that kind of evolution. You've tasted the fire. You've become the architect of your reality. You've built your name not on luck, not on gifts, but on war, on sacrifice, on obsession. People don't see the war behind your eyes when they look at you now. They don't see the nights you spent drowning in silence, fighting off voices that told you to quit. They don't see the days when your hands were shaking from exhaustion and you still showed up. They don't know the weight you've carried, the expectations, the pressure, the legacy you've sworn to build even if it kills you. But you know, and that's all that matters. You know what it cost to become this version of yourself. You know how many parts of your soul you had to burn just to light the path. And still, you didn't break. You didn't beg. You didn't stop. You became something else, something untamed, something unforgiving, something that doesn't need the game to win, because you rewrote it, and now you own it. You own every part of it, the pain, the pressure, the failure, the transformation, the total annihilation of everything that stood in your way. You didn't just change, you ascended. You built a kingdom from nothing, and you rule it now with fists clenched and eyes lit with a fire most people can't even comprehend. You don't need applause. You don't need recognition. You don't need anyone to validate you, because the truth is, no one was going to believe in you until you forced them to. And that's exactly what you did. You forced the world to look up and see what it had ignored. You dragged your destiny out of the dirt and made it a monument to your willpower. You buried your doubts and planted fury in their place. You didn't beat the game. You rewrote it. And from this moment on, no one can take that from you. Tonight, we stand at the edge of the abyss, a place where many have fallen, where only the strong survive and the weak perish, where the weak once ruled and now lie broken in their own ruin. Tonight, we witness the inevitable collapse of those who believed they were kings, who believed they were untouchable. But you took over their kingdom, and now they can't handle it. They can't bear the weight of what they thought was theirs. They never understood what it meant to rise from the ashes of their past, to hold power with bloodied hands and a heart that's been through all. They were kings in their own minds. But when the true test came, they crumbled before your will, before your vision. You took everything they held sacred and made it yours, and now they're drowning in the very power they thought would save them. You see, power is not just something that can be taken. It is something that must be earned. It must be forged in the fires of ambition and tempered in the cold of isolation. It is something that breaks those who do not have the will to endure it. Power is not a prize to be handed out. It is a burden to be borne by the few who can withstand its weight. And you have withstood it. You have taken their kingdom. Not because you were handed it, but because you fought for it. You bled for it. You faced the darkness alone, and you emerged from it stronger. And now, they cannot bear what you have become. You took over the kingdom, but they can't handle it, because they don't understand what it means to be great. Greatness is not a luxury. It is a curse. It is a path that only the relentless can walk. It is a journey that demands everything from you, your mind, your body, your soul. And when you reach the summit, when you stand on top of the world, you realize that the view is not as beautiful as you thought it would be. It is cold and it is lonely. And only those who have tasted that emptiness can truly understand the cost of greatness. Greatness is not given. It is earned in the blood, sweat and tears of those who dare to conquer what others fear. And they did not have what it takes to make it to the top. They only had the illusion of power, and now they are crushed beneath the weight of their own delusions. They thought they could control it. They thought they could manipulate it. But they never understood that power is not something that can be tamed. It is a beast that must be conquered, and only the strongest survive those who try to control it. Those who think they can bend it to their will without ever understanding its true nature will be consumed by it, and they were consumed by it. They were consumed by their own arrogance, their own hubris. And now they are nothing more than remnants of what they once were, broken men and women who thought themselves gods, but were only ever pawns in a game they did not understand. You stand here tonight, the ruler of a kingdom they never deserved, a kingdom forged through blood and sacrifice, a kingdom where the weak have no place, a kingdom where only those with the strength to lead will thrive. And they cannot handle it, because they were never meant to rule. They were never meant to lead. They were never meant to hold the power you hold. And that is why they are falling apart. That is why they are crumbling beneath the weight of their own inadequacies, because they do not have what it takes to stand where you stand, to endure what you have endured. They were never ready for the kind of power you now possess. And now they must watch as you claim what is rightfully yours. The irony of their downfall is that they never saw it coming. They never realized that the kingdom they once ruled was never truly theirs. It was always a facade, a shell built on lies and deceit. And now that it is gone, they are left with nothing but the empty echoes of their own failure. They are trapped in their own weakness, unable to escape the truth that they were never truly in control. They were always just placeholders waiting for someone stronger to take their place, and that someone was you. But let us not pretend that this victory comes without its price. Nothing worth having is ever easily obtained. Nothing worth keeping is ever given freely. There is always a cost to be paid, a price that must be sacrificed, and you have sacrificed much. You have given up your time, your comfort, your peace, to take what is yours. And you know what it feels like to stand alone at the top, knowing that the world is watching, knowing that every move you make will be scrutinized, knowing that the slightest misstep could lead to your undoing. But you are not afraid of that. You are not afraid because you know that you have earned your place here. You know that you are not like them. You are not like the weak and broken souls who once ruled this kingdom. You are different. You are something they could never be. And that is why they cannot handle it. They cannot handle what you have become. They cannot handle the force that you now are. Tonight we watch as the weak crumble and the strong rise from the ashes. Tonight we see the death of those who thought They could hold power without ever understanding what it truly means to possess it. Tonight, we witness the end of their reign and the beginning of yours. You have taken over the kingdom, and now it is yours to shape. It is yours to destroy or rebuild. It is yours to dominate. And those who cannot handle it will be left in the dust. As you forge a new era, a new reign that will be remembered for generations to come, they will be forgotten, but you will be immortalized as the one who took over the kingdom and made it your own. They will fade into obscurity, while your name will echo through the halls of history. You have taken over the kingdom, but they can't handle it, because they were never meant to be the ones who held the throne. They were never meant to lead. They were never meant to rule. And now that they are gone, the true rulers will emerge, the ones who have the strength to carry the weight of the crown, the ones who have the vision to lead the kingdom to greatness, the ones who understand what it takes to rise above the ashes and claim what is rightfully theirs. You are that ruler, you are that leader, and you have proven to the world that you are the one who is always meant to take over the kingdom and make it your own. So stand tall, stand proud, because you have earned this moment. You have earned this power, and no one can take it from you. No one can challenge you, because you have already defeated them all. You have already conquered everything that stood in your way. And now you are the king, the ruler, the master of the kingdom that once belonged to them, but now belongs to you. And as they watch from the shadows, unable to comprehend the magnitude of your success, remember this: you were never meant to be like them. You were never meant to fail. You were always meant to rise above them, to stand at the top and claim what is yours. Because tonight we see it. Tonight, we see the truth. You have taken over the kingdom, and they can't handle it. Because they never understood that true power isn't just about what you take. It's about what you give, what you sacrifice, what you endure. The kingdom you've taken is a reflection of that sacrifice, a reflection of the blood, sweat, and tears that have been poured into it. They thought it was theirs by right. They thought that just because they had been born into it, because they had spent their years filling the throne room with their pomp and glory, that they were entitled to the power they held. But they were wrong. They were never ready for what it means to take over something, what it means to truly be in control. To take control of a kingdom isn't to sit idly on a throne and bask in the warmth of accolades. Number, to take control, is to know every corner of the kingdom inside and out. It is to see the rot hidden beneath the shining walls, to see the cracks in the foundation, and understand that it is up to you to repair them or watch it crumble. It is knowing that the crown you wear has not been bestowed upon you. It has been earned, forged in the fires of struggle, battle, and conquest. You understand that power is not a gift, it is a responsibility, and it weighs heavily on those who aren't prepared to carry it. They weren't prepared. They never were. The weight of that throne crushed them long before you ever arrived to claim it. They thought they could handle it, but they could not. It crushed them because it was never meant for them. They had the trappings of a king, but they never had the heart of one. Their crowns were nothing more than hollow symbols, worn with arrogance but never with understanding. They could sit upon the throne, but they could never wield the power that came with it. They were content with control without knowledge, with ruling without responsibility. They thought their subjects would bow to them out of fear, out of tradition. But in the end, their subjects were waiting for something more. They were waiting for someone who could lead them, who could show them that a kingdom is not just a title. It is a living, breathing entity, one that needs nourishment, attention, and vision. And that is where you come in. You stepped into that space, and you didn't just take over. You breathed life into it. You saw the kingdom for what it was, and you understood its heartbeat. You knew it was not enough to simply occupy the throne. You had to take that throne, stand upon it, and give the people a reason to follow you. They can't handle it because they couldn't see what you saw. They couldn't feel the pulse of the land beneath them. They couldn't see the cracks in the walls or the shadows creeping through the halls. They didn't have the vision to change it, to make it something more. It was easy for them to wear the crown, easy for them to stand at the front of the room, receiving the applause, taking the accolades. It was easy for them because they didn't have to do anything to deserve it. The power was handed to them, a gift they never earned, and now they have to face the reality of that. When you took over, you understood that every ounce of power would be fought for. You didn't expect to sit back and simply be handed the reins of the kingdom. You knew it would be a battle, but they never prepared for that. They never prepared for the kind of fight that you've had to endure. They thought they were safe. They thought they could rest on their laurels. But you never stopped fighting. You never stopped clawing your way to the top. They can't handle it because they never understood that the greatest test of power isn't how high you can rise. It's how deep you can dig into the darkness and still hold your ground. They didn't understand that power comes with consequences. Every decision you make, every move you take has a price, and you were willing to pay it. They weren't. They thought they could skate by on the surface of things, taking the easy route, taking what was handed to them. But you've been through hell and back. You've known what it's like to lose everything. You've known what it's like to be broken and to build yourself back up from the ashes. You fought for this kingdom, fought for this power, and now that you hold it, you are unshaken. You are the storm they could never weather, the force they never reckoned with. And now, they watch as you stand at the helm, and they tremble. They watch as you rebuild what they destroyed, as you reshape the kingdom into something greater than it ever was. And they know they can't handle it. They see the strength in your eyes, the determination that burns inside you, and they understand, deep down, that they were never worthy of what you now control. Their kingdom was a house of cards, built on fragile promises and lies. Yours is built on something far stronger. The truth of your struggle, the weight of your sacrifice, the power of your will. What they thought was easy is now impossible to them. They cannot handle the truth that you have risen above them, that you have come to claim what was always meant to be yours. It wasn't supposed to be this way. They thought they were the ones who would change the world, who would sit at the top and watch as others bent to their will. But they didn't count on your hunger. They didn't count on the fire inside you that could never be quenched, no matter how many times the world tried to drown it. They cannot handle it because they were never warriors. They were never born for this kind of struggle. You were. From the moment you set your sights on the throne, you knew it would cost you everything. But you also knew that you were willing to pay the price. You didn't care about the risks. You didn't care about the odds stacked against you. What mattered was the goal, the vision you had, and the unwavering belief that you were the one who could bring it to life. They, on the other hand, were always content with what they had, satisfied with a kingdom that wasn't truly theirs, simply because they had been lucky enough to inherit it. But luck doesn't make a king. Luck doesn't create greatness. Only those who are forged in the fires of adversity, who have fought and bled for what they desire, can truly handle the weight of the crown. And that is why they are crumbling beneath your success, because you took over their kingdom and you made it yours, and they can't handle it. They can't handle the fact that you saw what they couldn't, that you understood what they never would. They can't handle the fact that you are everything they could never be. They can't handle it, and they never will. They can't comprehend the fire that burns in your veins, the relentless drive that pushes you to rise when the world wants you to fall. The very essence of what you are, what you've become, is beyond their reach. They are trapped in the illusion of their past, believing that their reign was something to be revered, something to be protected. But you see the truth beneath it all. You understand the cost of their false legacy, the hollow promises they made. They built their kingdom on lies, and now they are watching it burn, unable to do anything but watch you take it all. They never understood that true power isn't about comfort. It's not about a throne surrounded by luxury, palaces bathed in golden light. It's about the battle, the struggle, the constant grind to stay at the top once you've climbed there. You didn't take over a kingdom because you were entitled to it. No, you took it because you were willing to face the darkness that they refused to confront. You were willing to face the storm, to walk through the fire without hesitation, without fear. And in doing so, you became the storm, the fire, the force that cannot be controlled. They never understood that. They thought they were the ones who controlled everything. But they were puppets, dancing to a song that they didn't even know. They thought they held the strings, but they were being dragged by them, bound to the whims of their own weakness. They never faced the truth of what it means to rule. They never understood that you don't just sit on a throne and bask in the glory. You have to fight for it every single day. You have to make sacrifices that break you, choices that tear you apart. But you do it anyway, because the price of greatness is higher than they could ever imagine, and they could never pay it. They can't handle it because they didn't have the strength to rise when the world knocked them down. They didn't have the fire in their heart to rebuild what they lost. You were forged in adversity, made stronger by every trial that broke them. You were the one who refused to stay down, refused to let the world crush you beneath its heel. Every wound, every scar, every betrayal only made you more determined, more focused. You understood that pain is a part of the journey. You understood that only the most relentless survive. And that's why you took over their kingdom. That's why you now hold their crown. You earned it with blood, sweat, and tears. And they were content with mediocrity. They thought they could coast through life, holding on to their power by the sheer force of their name, their reputation. They thought that they were untouchable. But you've proven them wrong. You've shown them that power isn't something that can be inherited. It isn't something that can be taken for granted. It is something that must be seized, something that must be earned. And you've earned it. You've shown them that they were never in control. They were always waiting for someone like you to come along, someone who understood what it really takes to lead. And now you're here, and they're left to pick up the pieces of a kingdom they never truly owned. They can't handle it because they were never meant to handle it. They were never built to lead. They were never forged in the fire of struggle and sacrifice. They didn't have the mental fortitude to stand strong in the face of opposition. They crumbled at the first sign of weakness, and that's why they lost everything. They didn't have the heart to make the hard choices, to do the things that others wouldn't dare to do. They didn't have the strength to look into the abyss and say, "I will not fall." But you did. You do. And now, it is your kingdom. Their kingdom. It is yours. You may look around and see the wreckage of what was, but that's just it. It was never truly theirs. The ashes you now stand among were built on lies, on false pretenses. It was always a facade, a crumbling edifice, and you were the one who tore it down. You had the strength to look past the illusion, to see through the glamour and the false prestige. You weren't fooled by the grandeur. You weren't satisfied by the superficial. You saw the rot beneath it all, and you knew that to take it, you had to be willing to destroy everything that had come before. And that's the difference between you and them. They never had the courage to destroy. They never had the vision to see beyond what was. You knew that to rebuild, you had to tear down. You had to break apart what was broken, to strip away the decay and the corruption. And so, you did. You eradicated what didn't serve you, what didn't serve the kingdom, and you replaced it with something stronger. And now, they are left to watch as you build something that will last, something that will endure. They can't handle it, because they can't understand what you've done. They can't comprehend how you've managed to not only survive, but thrive where they fell apart. They've watched as you've taken the very tools they used to enslave the people and turn them into weapons of liberation. They watched as you took the blood-soaked paths they carved and used them to carve your own. Every victory, every conquest, every moment of strength has left them choking on their failure. They thought they were the ones who would hold the reins, the ones who would dictate the future, but you took it, you claimed it, and now they are mere spectators in the kingdom they thought was theirs, but they can't handle it, and they never will, because you understand what they never did. Power is not something you can hold on to simply because you've been given it. It's something you must earn, something you must fight for. It's something you must protect at all costs. You can never let your guard down. You can never rest. The moment you do, someone else will come for you. Someone hungrier, someone stronger. And that's the game they never understood. They thought the kingdom was theirs by birthright. They thought the crown was theirs to wear, but they didn't realize the truth, that a crown is not something that sits on your head. It is something you must carry, something that will crush you if you're not strong enough to hold it. They can't handle it because they never had the fortitude to carry the weight of their kingdom, the weight of their decisions, the weight of their actions. They were always looking for the easy way out, looking for shortcuts. They thought that if they played the game of politics, of manipulation, of deceit, they could keep the power. But you know better. You know that the true game is played with blood, sweat, and sacrifice. You know that the true power lies not in what you can take, but in what you can withstand, what you can endure. You were never afraid of the price. They were, and now they are paying it, and they can't handle it, because deep down, they know the truth. They know they were never meant to rule. They know they never had what it takes to lead. And they know that you are the one who was always meant to stand at the top. You are the one who was born to take over this kingdom, and no matter how hard they try, no matter how much they beg, they will never be able to reclaim what you have taken. They can't handle it because they were never the ones meant to control this power. You were, and now you stand unshaken, unyielding, and they are left to watch as the kingdom they thought they built is torn down and rebuilt by your hands. And no matter what they do, they will never be able to stop it. They can't handle it, and they never will. In the end, they were never meant to hold the power they so desperately clung to. They couldn't handle it, and they never will. You, however, have earned your place. You have faced the darkness, endured the pain, and risen stronger with every battle. This kingdom is yours, not by fate, but by your will, your strength, and your unwavering determination. Let them watch from the sidelines, powerless to reclaim what they lost, because you have proven that true power isn't given, it's taken. And now you stand as the ruler they could never be.